Hi everyone and welcome to my channel. My name is Rowan, the Lyranwitch. I'm here with another collective message today. It's been a minute since I could really come on and spend a lot of time with you guys, so I'm really excited for this one. I've taken some notes and I'm going to pull some cards for you. What we're going to talk about are the collective energies that have been coming up in the last 2 weeks and what's coming up in the next week. However, this is a timeless message. That might sound strange given what I just said, but timeless messages often have a way of making sense later. For example, I just posted a video from 2020 just the other day and didn't even realize that the transits I mentioned are happening again. I don't follow those things too well. So these things have a way to come back up. So with that in mind, let's get started. Let's talk a little bit here about the energy that's already been happening, the window that we're in. The thing I heard first was let it go or keep it and struggle. There's this real energy coming from Venus of needing to take stock of emotionally what's still relevant and what's not. A lot of us have been carrying a lot of people in our hearts that have either not been here for us, that we haven't gotten real about, or just people who have really done us wrong, who we've made a lot of excuses for. And with the Venus retrograde coming up here, I believe on the 27th, there's going to be a big kick in the ass for everybody who is still dragging the burden of somebody's energy around with them when that person is either A, no longer in your life, or B, not doing anything to help you, and you're doing everything to help them. The message I got is that it's time to get real about those things. And it's a tough situation whenever you've been carrying somebody in your heart for a long time. There is such a thing as loving from a distance, but not at the cost of yourself and not at the cost of your present reality. Some of us here, I've been told, are really doing a lot of daydreaming and in limerence about a lot of people who need to go. If you're not familiar with limerences, you might want to look into it. Limerence is whenever it's often from trauma, and it's when you have this unrealistic expectation that somebody is going to come back around. It's a way that your brain and your heart can try to make sense of very unfair situations, because it gives you the sense that, oh, I might be able to get a redo with this. This person might actually come back and there might actually be justice in this situation. But what I'm being told by the guides and by the angels and Venus itself is your justice isn't going to come that way. It's time to let those people go. It's time to get real about what you've had limerence about. And that doesn't have to all be romantic. That can even be people in your family. That can be friends. It can even be a job that you're just, well, eventually it'll get better. Once I get that promotion, it'll get better. Those things keep pulling us back into a lot of stuff we need to be done with. And especially a lot of mindsets we need to be done with. So much of what's coming up right now is about mindset. Because whenever you're going through your spiritual journey, and especially when you get to the point where you have gone through multiple dark nights of the souls, and perhaps even spiritual warfare, if you want to think of it that way. You don't even have to call it spiritual warfare, but just this idea that your light is triggering other people in whatever extreme way or whatever benign way that's happened for you. Whenever you get to that point, it's so important to let go of your old mindsets, of the naive mindsets. And being naive doesn't necessarily have to equate with being gentle. Some of us have this idea that if you're gentle, that means you stay in the old mindset that you had when you were younger. That's not necessarily true. You can have great boundaries. You can have an adult mindset, realistic mindset, and logic about the relationships that you enter into without getting stuck in these very almost childish ideas of how things will play out and how people will change due to more love being poured on them. Often that stuff comes up from having relationships or growing up in dynamics that were very difficult and having no other way of dealing with them. So that is something to think about coming up here. The other thing that has been really relevant is the idea of troubleshooting. This is something that Spirit was showing to me as a way of explaining the energy that we're in. They said that it's like being in IT and trying to help somebody over the phone in solving a situation with their computer or with their phone, but not being able to see their screen. So you're just constantly asking questions to them and trying to rule out one thing and move to the next thing. You're going through your checklist that you have on your end. And that other person on the other end may or may not be helpful. It depends on the questions you ask to guide them. And that's what we're dealing with the inner child right now in this window of time. You know, we're basically following our guides' information. They're asking the questions, but we have to tune in and be able to listen to their questions properly. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to ask the correct things, to go through the checklist and figure out what needs to go and what needs to stay. What is and isn't contributing to the issue. How much of this is user error and how much is a problem with the system. The system meaning your mindset. Because sometimes if you don't undo the old mindset, you're just going to continuously go through a lot of the same cycles. There's also a lot of frustration that's been coming up in the collective. I know I've been feeling it. And that's for me, it was from not knowing what's going to be happening yet. It's like not being able to see the screen on the other side is how I was thinking about it. You know, often that frustration with people that have a lot of spiritual energy around them, sometimes that can build up in your home or in your energy field and lead to a lot of things breaking or malfunctioning around you, especially if you're dealing with a lot of frustration. If you've been really dealing with some sticky stuff for a long time. And that is something I've been noticing. And I've been talking to other people that have noticed this as well. So what I mean by that is you might see different things malfunctioning in your house. And I'm not wishing this on anybody. I hope you haven't gone through this. But I know for me, I've been noticing a lot of things are malfunctioning, getting lost, disappearing, and showing up later. Even some long-term things that maybe shouldn't have gone bad, spoiling. And I'm somebody who energetically clears my home constantly. And it wasn't that. It was my own frustration energy kind of bottling up and making me slow down. Because that's what happens whenever you don't give yourself time to slow down and listen to your guides and have them ask you the questions to solve the issue. They're on the other side. They're the IT person on the other side. Like, have you held in the power button? And you're like, I'm holding it in. Why isn't it coming on? I still see a black screen. So basically, like, if you don't take time to fully listen to your guides and actually give yourself space to process those things and not just gloss through them on your day-to-day basis. So sometimes doing that deep dive, that can lead to a lot of frustration. Of like, I feel like something's wrong, but I don't know what it is. A lot of times that frustration is, I'm not moving forward because I'm running off of an old system. I need to do this update for my mindset. I need to do this update for things that shouldn't be here anymore. And, you know, sometimes your guides will actually allow that energy to build up in your body, or you're allowing that energy to build up in your body to the point where everything around you slows you down for a minute. And you end up taking a break from the routine that you would have been in, where you have to be like, okay, why is this happening? So some of you may be going through that as well. Okay, I was given some specific dates here, and maybe some of you who are a little bit more well-versed in astrology will make more sense of this than I did, but I want to share it because the guides brought it up. They were saying that we were in an energy window from September 3rd, 2022 until June 27th, 2023. And now it's like Spirit has put a lot of us in this interim phase, in this in-between window, where a lot of heart clearing is happening and a lot of karmic reversals or karmic resets are happening. You're not going to necessarily be aware of the karmic resets or the karmic justice that happens for some of the people that you maybe have been waiting for, if you've been waiting for that for some people. Spirit is wanting you to focus on your own karmic reset. That's why it's important to let go of things right now, because a lot of you, and myself too, have been carrying around a lot of old relationships and a lot of old ways of thinking that block you up and prevent new stuff from coming in, because you're still in the same cycle. You're still in the same ways of thinking about things, and therefore you're not stepping out of your daily routine. This is what I was mentioning in some of my other readings when I was talking about a lot of people needing to leave hermit mode now and slowly kind of dipping your toes in. the more that you get into the pool, even if it's really shocking or cold, the more spirit will be able to interrupt your daily routine with new things and bring in new synchronicities that will lead to the next step. And that's, again, where a lot of that frustration is being in our lives to slow us down so that we recognize that. But this in-between window is ending on August 1st, 2023, which will be in a couple days from the time I'm filming. Again, this is timeless, but, you know, for the people who are watching at this time, I want to mention it. Let's see. So the moon that we're coming up on August 1st is going to be the Sturgeon moon. That's going to be the full moon on August 1st. And I want to read into the energy of the Sturgeon because this is going to be very relevant, and it's actually not an energy that many people, I think, recognize for how powerful it is. The sturgeon's actually a very ancient fish, and I found that really fascinating because it's not something that you hear about whenever you talk about them that much. They're actually 200 million years old, and they haven't changed form that much since then, okay? They live in the northern hemisphere. They're bottom feeders and scavengers. They have a diet of fish eggs, crustaceans, aquatic plants, and they're hunted around the world for meat and caviar. And they're also a fish that can guide people on spiritual journeys. Now, I want to talk about this a lot because one of the things that makes the sturgeon really interesting is a lot of different cultures recognize them for good luck and for fertility because they can lay thousands and thousands of eggs at a time. I also think it's really interesting because, you know, because they're 200 million years old and they've made it this long, they're also very good at surviving, longevity, standing in their truth. Ace of Swords. We have the Hierophant coming up in reverse here. The message I'm getting from this is that the sturgeon actually wants the collective right now to begin tapping into their energy and connecting with them, because there's, as always, I've always taught this with my animal communication people, there's always the living sturgeons, there's the sturgeons that are in spirit that have passed on from all that time ago, and there's also their galactic counterparts, which is like the conglomeration, I guess, of their wisdom in astral. All right? And sometimes they can even show up, for those of you who do a lot of shamanic journeying and stuff like that, they can also show up as being cosmic or being in other planetary systems. Not everybody is ready for that conversation yet, but a lot of the animals that we have here have counterparts elsewhere. Origin points elsewhere, okay? So this is the energy that we're coming out of right now. 5 of Pentacles. Being left out in the cold. Recovering from a lot of disturbing stuff for a lot of people here. And not being willing to take new things into our lives. With this 4 of Cups. Being offered things and maybe being like, I don't think I can trust these people. I don't think I can build with these people. 3 of Pentacles. And, you know, honestly, this is sort of the Ace of Swords here is the connector for this whole message. This is the sturgeon's energy. What is the truth here? You know, this is the IT guides being like, what's actually going on with your computer system right now? What's actually going on with your phone right now? And how do we bring what's going on your end of the phone, not my end of the phone, to fruition? How do we get to the situation that you want? And your guides are helping you with that right now. They're helping you to see a new perspective, but it's going to require you to slow down. Otherwise, things are going to be breaking in your house, or things will be spoiling, or you know what I mean? Like, they're going to interrupt your routine if you don't come out of hermit mode now and start doing something different. And letting go of some of the ideas of old relationships that you might have been dragging around for a long time. I'm just going to say it, some of you are thinking people are your twin flames, and maybe they were, but they broke contract, okay? And some people aren't punished for that. I mean, it's free will. People can choose to do whatever they want. So if you do believe in twin flames that way, let it go, move on. You will be given somebody better, okay? In my opinion, twin flames are not a healthy thing to focus on. Getting into all those readings is very unhealthy over time, especially if you're somebody that came out through trauma, because it can be something that's always giving you false hope moving forward. And I'm not judging, I get it, but it's really important to be honest about who you are versus who that other person is. How did they actually show up, and what was your expectation of them? And did that ever happen? You know, you, again, using the IT example, you were on one side, seeing their potential and saying, wow, if I help you get to this upgrade, and you choose to run the upgrade on your computer, it's going to work so much better. And that other person's like, nah, I think I'm just going to keep hitting the button over and over again, keep doing the same thing. You can't continue to wait for somebody to do that. They may never do that, okay? I won't beat that to death. Yeah, some of these people, yeah, we don't need to get into it. Page of Wands, you get it. You're over here, kings, queens, empresses, emperors, they're pages, okay? We're letting go of all the things we were carrying that were harming us. That's one thing about the Seven of Swords. It's not always about deception. It can be about carrying too much and hurting yourself, because this man is carrying a bunch of blades with his bare hands. For those of you who are waiting for somebody to come into your life and direct you or free you from something, they're saying, step into your Queen of Swords, whatever your gender, and cut that idea off. You are not going to be gifted an emperor that just comes in and changes your situation for you. You have to change your own situation by cutting off that idea. You have to change your own life, and once you do the change, you will be able to get to that, okay? There's a lot of inner work, maybe not work, inner reflection that's needed at this time. Now let's get into the Sturgeon energy a little bit more. The Sturgeon says that they are about building. They are about creating, and the action of creation versus the product. Right now I'm hearing capitalism, and this is reminding me of the idea of remembering to enjoy the things that you're passionate about instead of just working towards the end goal of it. Because whenever you start to think of things in terms of the goal and you're not enjoying the process anymore, you're dead inside. That's what it is. Like, that's one thing about the capitalistic system that's really toxic. And it's something that can ruin a lot of people whenever they go to school for something. You know, sometimes you go to school for something and you fight through all of this new information and all this criticism about something that once brought you lots of joy, only to realize that by the time you're done with school, you're burned out and you hate that thing now because you just rip yourself apart in your mind. It's really tough. You see too many problems with the things that you once enjoyed or the process you once enjoyed, and you get locked into one process instead of allowing creativity to happen. The only boundary that assists creativity, in my opinion, are deadlines. If you give yourself deadlines or sort of like loose rules to follow, that can help your creativity. But whenever you lock yourself into the same process to create a product, that's not creativity anymore. And, you know, you don't have to be an artist to benefit from that message. Everything involves creativity. It does. Even the scientific process, to some degree, is creative because you have to think of what would be the most beneficial way to get that result, to get to the result, to figure out if your hypothesis was correct. There's something else here about water and pollution, because the Sturgeons are bringing my attention to the star here with the water, and this came up in reverse, and they're basically saying, like, they're having to be very strong because a lot of the water quality is becoming terrible. They're having to work through this in new ways. I'm hearing they might even be having mutations because of this. That's just something I'm picking up. I haven't researched that. But, you know, in terms of water, this is relevant for the collective because water is something that it's always changing. And it's still very powerful. It's one of the few elements that's incredibly strong and corrosive and dangerous in some situations, but also life-giving. And the Sturgeons want to talk about how this relates to things that you're working towards, your dreams, because that's what the star is about. A lot of you, I'm hearing with the Fool coming up here, have gotten really stuck in this mindset that if you take a risk or move differently towards the thing that you're really excited about, that you will be absolutely screwed over and stuck even worse. They're saying it's actually essential that you take some kind of risk towards what you want at this stage in the journey. You have to clear yourself and make sure that you're sensing the correct thing. You know, you're getting the correct directions from your guides. You also have to make sure that your financial needs are at least stable to a certain degree. You can't just take the leap without any planning, right? But once you get that clear aura, you're going to get clarity. There's also a sense here of your ancestors helping you to get the correct things to flow into your life. But you're not going to get to where you want from where you are without changing something, without the transformation. Taking that risk in the transformation is what's going to bring you relief. There's also something here about coming to a new understanding of yourself. A lot of the limitations and blocks that are being cleared right now, and even some of the limerence that's come up, has more to do with the stories you tell yourself about yourself because of your decisions in the past than what's actually happening. And the Sturgeon is offering assistance in this because they're wisdom keepers. The fish have this amazing ability to help us move through emotions and move through cycles really fluidly. They're also, in Celtic mythology, there was a fish that basically kept all the wisdom in the universe. So they were kind of like Akashic Records keepers as well. And if you are new to the Akashic Records, I would recommend that you connect with the fish first, because they're really going to assist you with that. And not everybody is drawn to working in the Akashic Records, but I imagine if you're drawn to my channel, you probably are, because that's one of the main things I do. What was I just saying about the Akashic Records and the Wheel of Fortune came up? The Wheel of Fortune is the direction of your life. It's how things balance. It's, for lack of a better term, your karma. And the Sturgeon wants to remind you that the Wheel of Fortune, you will sometimes be at the top, things are going great, and you're well on your way, and sometimes you're stuck and you're at the bottom. But it doesn't mean that the wheel can't turn again. The wheel is always supposed to turn. When it stops turning is when you know you need to change something. Now let's talk about whatever this is that you're reluctant to leave behind, because I'm sensing a reluctance, or I'm seeing a dog putting their feet down and not wanting to step forward whenever I'm tuning into this energy. Some of you were stuck between. Look at all this stuck between energy. 2 of Swords, 2 of Wands. There's a lot of being stuck in your own head, being locked into a decision, or feeling like you've made the wrong decision in the past, not being sure how to move forward, and fearing a tower is going to come from moving at all. For a lot of you, this has to do with some kind of emotional change. Alright, this is heavy. Let's see what's going on with it. I'm going to switch decks. You want me to use the dream deck here? Drowning. Okay, I'll show you the card. This is drowning Water in dreams universally symbolizes emotions. So if you're drowning, this indicates that you're either under a lot of emotional stress or afraid of being overcome by intense emotion. What'd I say? This dream may be a warning that something or someone is taking up too much of your energy and time. You may be too deeply immersed in a relationship or project and in danger of losing yourself. Perhaps you're overcommitted at the expense of your health and well-being. Or you might simply have too many things going on in your life. For example, you might be juggling roles, parent, professional, volunteer, and so on, and consequently finding that you have too little quality time to yourself. If you're breathing underwater, this could indicate that you're navigating your way successfully through challenges. However, it could also symbolize a retreat into the womb, prompted by feelings of helplessness and dependency. You can't make it up. Like, we're literally tuning into the fish. Now, the thing that's standing out to me about this with the drowning card is juggling roles and finding that you have too little quality time to yourself. Because at the beginning of this message, we were discussing how spirit is going to slow you down if you don't choose to take a step back from something. There is something that you need to drop or step away from in order to get to the next stage of your life. There's something that's really... Why are they saying depending? I feel like there's something depending on you, but you're not going to be able to continue it, and that doesn't mean that you're a bad person. I feel like there may be a narrative that you're telling yourself, just at the idea of leaving this thing, but it is essential to your growth and your development as a person and your healing. I don't want to get too specific with this one, but I am going to mention there's a specific scenario here of somebody, there's a group that's working in retail where their job is just draining them, and there's also a group working in restaurants feeling the same, where you like can't get away from work and they even call you on your days off and stuff, and I'm being told that you'll be able to find something else. Okay, you're not going to like fall into the abyss. It's not going to happen because the angel card came up right next to it. Okay, now in general though, the other things I'm seeing are some other causes of overwhelm here. There's a lot of people who ask too much of you about your personal life because I have the intruders card. Now, the intruders in this regard is speaking about people who intrude on your personal space or try to intrude on your boundaries. This can even be family that's pushing you too hard for details about your relationship, about your life, about your friend group, or taking up all of your time. They're just very intrusive people. And eliminating these people is super important for you right now. Because I pulled this card, and typically this is family. So this may be somebody's family, but it reminded me of somebody at a therapist office. So some of you might be in therapy for that, or might need to go to therapy for that. You know, whatever it is, some kind of healer to assist you in working through that stuff. And I'm sensing like a therapist or like a clinical healer. Because working with Reiki healers and people like me who do Reiki and readings and stuff is very, very helpful and supportive. But it's not really a replacement if you've dealt with a lot of family issues growing up. We can help with that stuff, but we're not professionals, you know, in that regard. So it is important to get that stuff sorted as well. Okay, the other thing overwhelming a lot of you is social media. There's a lot of stories that you tell yourself because of the things that you see on social media. And Spirit is bringing this to my attention right now. It says online communication is an inescapable part of modern life, so it isn't surprising that many of us dream about Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, or the like. We're communicating via messenger apps. In general, these kind of dreams suggest a desire to expand, to reconnect with people from your past, or to seek out new horizons. If you dream of changing your profile photo or page, this indicates that you want to control the way other people see you, or you might already be doing so. If you find yourself scrolling aimlessly or being directed to the same web page repeatedly, perhaps you're spending too much time online. Gaining likes or new online followers may reflect a feeling that you're worthy of other people's approval, whereas losing friends or followers may indicate that you can't or won't conform to the expectations placed upon you by friends, family, or society. I think that social media can be a really good thing. It's how I met you guys, and I enjoy showing up on it, but you do need to take breaks from it. And for some of you, specifically with Instagram and Facebook, they're showing me Instagram specifically and somebody doom scrolling and it affecting their body image or their image about how they dress, how they present, and just like creating this I'm hearing nostalgic feeling. So you might have been doing better at a certain point in your life and seeing other people at the point you were once at and convincing yourself you may never get there again. And that's not the truth. Okay, I'm 100% serious about this. You will come back from whatever this is, I'm being told. And the Sturgeon energy is going to be the turning point. This is going to be a mental turning point for those of you who are ready for this and who really lock into this energy from the time that you watch it. Whenever you watch it, since this is timeless, it'll be, let's see, about 10 days. About 10 days from the time you watch. If you commit every day to actually meditating, sitting with the Sturgeon energy, sitting with your guides, and really tapping into that IT energy of like, okay, what needs to go? What am I doing wrong? Am I holding the power button and just waiting for something to happen, but the computer isn't plugged in? Whatever. Do that, okay? Last one that's coming up here is cheating on a partner. All right? And if this doesn't resonate for you, don't try to make it fit. None of my messages are intended for that purpose, okay? Unless I say they are. But in general, my messages are validation for people who already know something. They're meant to assist you in that, okay? Because I'm reading for too many people for this reading to be accurate for absolutely everybody. But cheating on a partner is coming up here in regards to, I'm hearing what could happen if certain people watching this continue down the road that they're on. Because there's something separating a relationship here. So if you're not in a relationship, this part is obviously not for you. If you are in a relationship and everything's fine, that's still not for you. This is like for people who are already in a rocky point, you know? That says, cheating on a partner. Dreams of sexual cheating in which you're a betrayer are rarely about you cheating in real life. They're often an indication that your relationship needs aren't being met in some way. You might be feeling neglected or fearful your partner may abandon or betray you. If you're the guilty party in the dream, pay attention to who you're having an affair with. Contrary to popular belief, this is not a wish fulfillment dream. Sleeping with somebody else probably means there's some aspect of their personality that you need to assimilate within yourself. And I want to stop here and just say, if you are having limerence about somebody that you haven't had contact with in a long time, like if you're really focused on this person and you're like, I feel like something's going to happen, whatever, it's probably that they just had a quality that you need to integrate in yourself and you really desire that quality. Or there was something about that person's personality or energy that you're like, wow, I really respect that. And the only way I can attain that is by having them around. That's not true. You can always change yourself. It does require changing the way you think first and a lot of your actions oftentimes to support that change. Because if you try to change your mindset but change nothing about your external life, it rarely works. It's rarely going to stick, okay? You either have to build a new routine, a new habit, or, sometimes it can require moving. And that's not a bad thing. I actually feel that a lot of my collective will be physically moving in the next few months. I've done other readings about it. Now let's go back in. Let's see. If in your dream your partner is cheating, the likely interpretation is more obvious, relating to your own feelings of insecurity or being sidelined in some way that you need to address in real life. So again, taking a step back from some other commitment that you might have or some other responsibility that you may have in your life is going to help you mentally come back to yourself and really get clear about some of the things that have been going on. Get honest about some of the things that have been going on that you may be already aware of, or, it could be symbolic as well of just like needing to integrate things. And that's why you're focused on people. This will also affect your finances because I feel like some of you are having a hard time holding on to money when it comes to you. And part of this I'm hearing is because you've been dealing with physical health issues that are slowing you down. Yeah, and just needing some relief in your life, honestly. And I feel like for those of you who do resonate with that, even if you have a lifelong condition, I feel like Spirit is indicating there's something about your routine that can be changed a little bit to enhance your quality of life, whatever is going on for you. Even if it's like starting to read more positive things or take in more positive media if you can't physically change things. Something like that. There's some kind of change here that's important and it's going to be helpful for you. And that's something that's going to be a little different for everyone. So I do encourage you to get into your meditative space in the next 10 days. Meditate with Sturgeon and see what comes up. Yeah, here's water again. A lot of you need to drink more water, I'm hearing. Now it says water is a symbol of your emotional state with associations of change and flow. If you're going through a tough time emotionally, the water dream may suggest that you'll pass into a new phase. Whatever form water takes, rain, snow, river, lake, waterfall, sea, it's also a symbol of refreshment, healing, or new beginnings. This is so even if you dream of a storm, since all water is temporary. Water in a lake, if water in a lake or river is clear, it's a sign of emotional honesty and resilience. If it's muddy or dirty, this indicates insecurity and perhaps over-reliance on support from others. A swimming pool is a symbol of emotional restraint. A shower or bath suggests a need to cleanse yourself of negativity. Swimming reflects a positive attitude. Okay. Yeah, you get it. I want to talk real quick about the shower or bath that they brought up. If you are really depressed and you feel the need to shower or bath all the time, it might be that you're actually dealing with a blockage or overworking of your solar plexus. This is something I've found again and again because water, especially moving water and hot water from a shower, holds a lot of energy. So sometimes whenever you bath, it gives you like a little bit of a boost. It's like having caffeine, but spiritually, I guess. And then when you get out of the shower, you eventually feel like more and more drained as time goes on. And often what could actually help with that is spending some time intending that energy go to your solar plexus, listening to tones that help your solar plexus, doing some gentle stretching can also help open that up. Eating yellow things, yellow fruits, yellow vegetables can be supportive, but mostly opening up the chakras in your hands and figuring out which is your sending hand, because there's always a sending and a receiving hand. And then putting that hand over your solar plexus and drawing energy from nature and from spirit through your hand into your solar plexus with the intention of almost like filling up a cup. So you can actually use water as a visual here of filling up a cup in your solar plexus and then spinning the water, because you want to make sure that your solar plexus is spinning. Okay? All right, guys, we're going to call it here. That's what I have for you. If you have any thoughts about the Sturgeon moon, please let me know in the comments. I'm curious to hear how you've been sensing the last few weeks and how things have been going for you. Let me know. I also want to let you know that I am giving away 2 free readings once I hit 1,000 subscribers, so please remember to leave a comment and subscribe to be in the running. All right, that's what I have for you. I'm sending you lots of love and peace, and I'll see you in the next one.